all the way from Germany, please join me in welcoming the 2026 Powerhouse Award recipient, Sonya Knebel.
Good evening, everyone. If I'm being honest, I just got emotional watching my own pictures, but it just tells the story of my last couple of years, and it's just, yeah, it's been a journey. Now, before I tell you my story, I want you to briefly close your eyes, just for a couple seconds. Please close your eyes. Thank you. Now, I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning with a decision you never thought you'd have to make. Not about your career, not about money, and not about where you'll live, but about whether your body is safe enough to create life. You can open your eyes now. At 29 years old, I am medically advised not to become pregnant. Not because I don't want a family, not because I don't dream of children, but because my mitochondria, the engines that power every single cell in my body, are damaged. Mitochondria are genetically inherited from the mother. They influence energy levels, immunity, neurological function, and even athletic ability. Hooray. So bringing a child into the world right now could mean passing on damaged cells to a body that struggles before life even begins. This is what mitochondrial dysfunction steals first, not just your health, but your future, your legacy. And what I grieve isn't just a child. It's an experience my body may never know, the feeling of carrying life, of sensing another heartbeat move with mine and being someone's first home. And what no one prepares you for is this. You don't just grieve the child you may never meet. You grieve every version of yourself you thought you've become. I grieved the bedtime stories of the 2 children's books that I wrote. I grieved the first steps and walking the ferries with them. I grieved the simple, profound act of holding a child, and now my body kept them safe. I lost something before I'd ever had a name, but among this grief, I hold on to hope. A hope for science, a hope for the future, and a hope for my future. For my entire life, I wanted to be a professional athlete. Sports isn't just what I did, it was who I was, my identity, my safe haven, and also my escape. I really didn't mind the early mornings and missing out on parties, and it wasn't a sacrifice to me because I trusted in my body and I loved what I was doing. That trust started cracking in fall of 2017 during my senior year as a Division I college athlete here in the States. I started getting sick. Not just once, but over and over and over again. Fevers that wouldn't quit, a sore throat, gut problems, a wrist injury that refused to heal. And the doctors ran basic blood work and told me everything looked normal, even though I had sky-high Epstein-Barr antibodies, elevated IgE, a chronically low iron, and a very, very puffy face due to inflammation. I was told, "You're fine, keep training." So I did, as a good athlete that I was, even with a fever burning through me, even when I was exhausted and could barely function in class, even when I was threatened with losing my scholarship if I didn't show up. What I didn't know then, and what research is only now beginning to understand, that I had developed post-viral syndrome. And every workout that I completed wasn't building strength or muscle, it was draining the very source of my energy at the cellular level, my mitochondria. The systems that fuel movement, healing, and also resilience. And one by one, they were failing me. After I graduated college, I entered the workforce. I went to work with fevers once again, became normal, and I came home and immediately went to bed. It was 5 p.m., normal for a 20-year-old, right? I had brain fog, concentration problems, food intolerances, and emotional irritability. Still, every doctor said my blood work looked good. Not even my family believed me when I told them that something is severely wrong. I kept getting sick. And once again, my only option was to push through. I got a master's degree in finance and analytics. I dismissed my social life completely. Not that I ever had one. I stopped sports, not because I wanted to, but because I had no energy left. And when the answers didn't come, I took my own health into my own hands. I dove into the research, trying to learn everything I could about my symptoms, my gut, and how inflammation affects energy in the body. By supporting my body differently and focusing on healing my gut, I slowly started to improve. Now, it wasn't a cure, but it was progress, and that very progress reminded me of something important. No one should have to navigate finding treatments alone. That's why science matters. That's why research matters. And by 2021, for the first time in a very long time, I felt a little better. I was playing golf again. I was even hiking. And I felt like the happiest kid alive. I thought I had my life back and a chance to chase my dream. So I did what everyone would do in my shoes. I quit my job to focus all of my energy on professional golf, my lifelong dream. 2 years later, I was introduced to long drive, and it was almost by chance. I got to play a round of golf for Martin Borgmeier and his YouTube channel, and he somehow convinced me to give long drive a try. It was loud, it was powerful, it was exciting, and I had a natural talent for it. I was instantly competing with the pros. And just after a month, I became European long drive champion. I hit it over 300 yards. And I punched my ticket to the World Championships in Atlanta. It felt surreal. From the outside, it looked like a success story. Peak athletic performance, perfect health, and a dream come true once again. But unfortunately, something else came back too. Post-exercise exhaustion, frequent illness, hormonal imbalances. I told myself it must be an allergy or a nutrient deficiency because I had healed my gut, so what else can it be? In 2024, a year later, I competed at Worlds again under self-imposed strict rest protocol with almost no practice. And somehow, I managed to finish third at the 2024 World Championships, a bronze medalist. Look at that. The day after competing, I collapsed in a shopping mall just down the road. I knew I was severely sick, but didn't have the answers to get treated, nor the money. And no one believed me. There's a special kind of fear that comes from knowing something is wrong with your body and realizing no one else can see it and appreciate the urgency. When doctors don't believe you, you start questioning yourself. When your family doesn't believe you, you start feeling alone and in despair. And when your employer doesn't believe you, start feeling disposable. So many times I came home crying after yet another unsuccessful doctor's appointment where they didn't believe me, insulted me, or told me it's all in my head. No referral, whilst my health declined every day. The result? I started getting panic attacks at work, fainted twice at my desk job, and had more sick days than work days by the end of the year. In January 2025, a year ago, 8 years after my first symptoms, I was diagnosed with mitochondrial dysfunction, and in May 2025, I was diagnosed with long COVID, autoimmune activity, reactivated Epstein-Barr, dysautonomia, and high inflammation. By this time, I had seen over 40 doctors and spent more than 50,000 euros out of my own pockets. I couldn't walk. I needed a caretaker. I was housebound, someone to wash my hair, to prepare food for me. I had severe pain, fevers, tremors, POTS symptoms. And even then, my employer didn't believe me. My family struggled to understand. And my GP told me I need to seek psychiatric help. But the real loss, it can't be quantified in money, individual symptoms, judgment, or test results. I lost golf. I lost my identity. I lost my 20s, my friends, and spontaneity, my future plans. everything. I lost trust in my own body. I lost the choices I assumed I'd always have, including having a child. The outside world sees me for my accomplishments, my athletic body, and my intellect. But what they don't see is the pain I live with every day and the uncertainty. My body cannot sustain its own energy, but if it cannot support me, how can it support another life? If it weren't for advanced diagnostics, a GoFundMe campaign, my partner, and a handful of people who believed me, including Mitzi, I would not be standing here today. Here's what I need you to understand. This is not just my story. Mitochondrial dysfunction sits at the root of most of the serious chronic conditions we fear and face today. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disease, long COVID, even autism, where cellular energy is increasingly part of the story. And aging itself, which is at its core a progressive loss of cellular energy. This isn't rare. This isn't someone else's problem. It affects every single one of you in this room, because every one of us ages. And every single one of us begins with our mother's mitochondrial health. Yet women's health remains profoundly underfunded and overlooked, especially when viewed through a mitochondrial lens where the need for research is urgent and undeniable. I share my story with you here today, not just to name what I've lost and what I grieve, but to inspire action, research, awareness, and to create hope, not just for myself, but also for others. For the next athlete, for the next parent, and for the next child who gets sick and deserves answers before their entire life collapses. Tonight, you all have the power to change the future of so many of us, because health is something we all take for granted until the moment we can't. Please make sure that when the moment comes, science is ready. Thank you.
Applause to Sonya, please.